I want to start this with a story, this exercise do's and don'ts, because I think a lot of people think, okay, they're going to tell us, don't exercise in the morning, don't exercise when you're tired. That's not what we're really going to talk about here. We have another take on exercise do's and don'ts. So I want to start with a story. So I did an interview for a company, and the guy said to me, we'll just chit chat, because I didn't want to spend too long on the particular subject. I was going to talk about a webinar I was doing, and I didn't want to spend the whole half hour. So he said, we'll just chit chat. So when we ended up chit chatting, he actually ended up like I did a consult, on a podcast, and I'm like, okay, but he wanted me to consult with him. He said, I watched your YouTube video, and I really want to work on my core, so I did some of your core exercises, and I hear this clicking sound in my back when I do your exercises. I'm thinking to myself, well, that's not good. But he goes, so what is that? I want you to know, therapists dread that question.
We're like, because we actually do have to assess you to tell you what is going on.
Exactly. So he's on the other end of a podcast in another state. So I said, well, what exercise? I explained it was one of our exercises where you tighten your abdominals and you slowly lower your leg back and forth. And I listened to him tell me the exercise, and I said, well, I think you're not tightening your abdominals, and you're having some movement in your spine. Your facets are moving a little bit, and that's the clicking you're hearing. Totally not sure, because I'm not there, but it was a good guess. And he says, tightening my abdominal muscles. Your video never said to do that. And I said, it definitely did. It definitely did. And so that's the do and don't. Because what happened is afterwards, unfortunately, after we got off the podcast, I went down onto the floor. I showed him how to do it. I told him to do it like that. And lo and behold, there was no clicking. All right. So he stabilized his spine so there wasn't any movement. You don't want to do that exercise with movement. So the first do is, or don't continue to do an exercise if you're clicking or you have pain. And the do that goes along with that is go back to the exercise, listen to it again, make sure you're doing everything that it says. If you have pain or clicking or anything that makes you uncomfortable, first go back, make sure you're doing it correctly. Then if you continue to have that,
don't do the exercise.
and go see somebody if the problem continues.
And I think that, when we're speaking towards kind of a general exercise program and protocol, not every exercise is right for everybody, and there's a lot of individual factors that come into play that we just can't address when we're showing an exercise protocol. So we give cues as best we can, but sometimes you're still going to do something and it might just not feel right for you or you where you're at this point in time. And if that's the case, definitely don't push through pain, definitely don't push through any discomfort or funny noises. And that's what physical therapists are there for. So if you have concern or something isn't feeling quite right to you, go see a physical therapist, and they'll be able to assess you one-on-one and then either modify the exercises or show you something that is better for you at this time. So those are kind of the exercises do and don't. You have to take a little bit of, be aware of what your body is doing with the exercises as well. And, make sure you're doing it correctly, following the cues. And then if it's still not right, just stop doing it and go see a professional.
Yep. So that's our do's and don'ts.